YouTube, what's going on, baby? It's your boy Chef Zay, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a new series where I'll be answering your Cleveland Browns burning questions straight from TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you got a question at. Drop it in the comments, and it could be featured in the video tomorrow and the days to come. So make sure you don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. But we're not going to waste no time, and we're going to get right into these questions because we got 6 questions. We're going to do 3 from TikTok, 3 from Instagram today, starting out with my man Buckeye Burke. He says, should the Browns trade Myles Garrett for picks? Hell no, absolutely not. The Browns should not trade Myles Garrett for picks, and I'm going to tell you why. You know, there's this weird thing that Cleveland Browns fans like to do where, you know, they complain about other players going to other places and having success. But then on the other coin, you have it where it's like, oh, I'd much rather see Myles Garrett win somewhere else, or put him on a team where he can at least compete. Same with Nick Chubb and all these other players. And I just don't understand the logic behind it because, you know, if we are serious about trying to win games and we want to move forward from this dreaded 3-14 season that we just had, you don't win games by trading away your best player on the team. It just doesn't make sense. And honestly, I'm truly confused on how people think that accumulating a massive haul for Myles Garrett is just going to magically fix the problem. Because Myles Garrett is a generational talent. Myles Garrett is a walking Hall of Famer. And you don't just replace that in a draft or in 2 drafts or with 17 picks or whatever the case may be. Myles Garrett is a special, special talent. And I just am not in the camp of trading him when we are quote unquote serious about winning, especially since that's what this organization has been telling us, even though it seems like everything has been directed in terms of the business. So do I think the Browns should trade them for draft picks? No. We have a lot of draft picks right now. I think we are in a position where you can potentially even get more draft picks and you could pair Myles Garrett with some very dominant pass rushers. Everyone likes Abdul Carter. There's Mason Graham. Obviously, you can go to there's the potential of the Raiders maybe trading. And, you know, if I throw up the conversation of Max Crosby maybe being part of that, that's a long shot, obviously. But there are avenues where I think you can pair Myles Garrett up with someone very dominant. And ultimately, I just don't want to lose 95 on our defense, which honestly goes into my next question that was brought up by Jake. He says, do you think 95 will be comfortable waiting until 2026 for the team to be competitive? Just going off what you said earlier, or do you think he'll need the team to start winning in 2025? Again, you don't win without Myles Garrett. So I think he knows that. Now, in terms of do you think he'll be comfortable waiting until 2026? When I said you go all in on 2026, I made a post talking about the Browns should hover this year and then tell Myles Garrett, hey, 2026, there's going to be multiple quarterbacks that are franchise guys that can alter this franchise's direction. And a lot of people are just saying that's not a good move. But here's my thought process behind it. Myles Garrett is coming up on a contract year. Not this year, but I believe next year he's going to be due for a contract. So this is probably the year that he'll get his extension. Pay the man. Give him his guaranteed bread. We've seen Andrew Berry and the Haslams give guaranteed bread out to plenty of other players. Let's get Myles Garrett happy first by getting him a new contract and giving him the dollars that he wants. Blank check, give it to him. Now, will he be comfortable? I'm not saying you tank this year, right? We tanked this year unexpectedly. But if you think you're going to go into next year and tell Myles Garrett, hey, we're going to have to tank this year one more time, but 2026 will be the year that we compete. No. You still can compete this year. Did the Vikings think that Sam Darnold was going to come in here and do what he did? No. There's always going to be an opportunity and chances for the Browns to make a splash or to take people by surprise. And I think this could be a year where you go into that free agency pool in the quarterback room and bring in some bridge guys. My personal theory, what I personally think we should do, especially if you're bringing back Kevin Stefanski, which they are bringing back Kevin Stefanski. He's not getting fired. So seeing as though Kevin Stefanski is going to be at the head again, why not bring in the one quarterback that thrived in his system, a.k.a. Joe Flacco? Now you've got Russell Wilson, who's going to be a free agent. Justin Fields is going to be a free agent. Matter of fact, we will actually pull up the free agent list for the quarterbacks this year because it's not a lot of them. They're like, don't get me wrong. There's definitely not a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be appeasing to people this year. But I just think that this is the route that we should probably go because, again, 2026 is going to be the year where you're going to find your AKA franchise quarterback, or at least have more opportunities to get franchise quarterbacks. So Sam Darnold's on there. Obviously, we're not touching Zach. Trey Lance, no. Jacoby, no. Heineke, no. Marcus Mariota, no. Now, the Justin Fields one, I think everyone is on board with. That would be changing. See, the thing with Justin Fields is, I don't know if that's the type of offense that Kevin Stefanski wants to run. And I don't think you do any service to Justin Fields by bringing him into a system that he's going to have to completely learn. I think it would just be better if you work around Justin Fields and maximize his capabilities. But I wouldn't be against bringing him in for sure because I think he still has talent that could be tapped into. And he's only 26, let's be honest. Joe Flacco is probably, now I know the age scares, well, he's so old. We're not talking about Joe Flacco being our quarterback for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Number one, Joe Flacco was the best quarterback to thrive in the Kevin Stefanski system. Number two, if you do go to the draft and you draft a guy that has pocket quarterback presence or pocket passing presence, Joe Flacco would be a great mentor to teach him the ropes and how to play the pocket pass game. And ultimately, Joe Flacco's won a Super Bowl. He's been there, done that. So it would be a great asset to give your young quarterback to watch under Joe Flacco. Jameis Winston. I think everybody wants Jameis back for a lot of reasons because if we're going to lose, we might as well have fun doing it, right? And Jameis Winston, there was a lot of fun weeks with him. I think we look back to that Denver game where he threw for 500 yards and then threw for 140 yards in interception yards. It wasn't fun losing that game, but we all had fun watching that game. There's a guy out there, maybe Mac Jones. Does he fit the build? He'll be a free agent. I remember Jimmy Garoppolo being a guy that everyone was like, let's go trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think that happens. But obviously, there's not a lot of great picks here from the free agency pool. Now, a guy that's not on this list that I think could be potential thrown around in the Browns' name, Daniel Jones. I would be intrigued with that a little bit. I think the chip on his shoulder could be good, but ultimately Cleveland would probably ruin Daniel Jones, even though he's quote unquote probably already ruined. But that leads to the draft, right? Do you go to the draft and potentially get a guy? I know everyone wants Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, which is going to lead right into my next question. Will Deion and Shedeur Sanders reject the Browns? And I threw out the scenario a long time ago where it was like there'd be one main reason why I'd be okay with bringing in Shedeur Sanders, and that would be if you can get Deion Sanders with him, right? And it just so happens that I came across this video and it makes me feel like the shoe fits perfectly for Cleveland in terms of it's not going to happen. And we're going to play it right now, and I'll let you guys hear it firsthand of what Deion Sanders said in this interview. Start it over from top.
Him, that you will intervene.
That's my son. It's almost like you got a child that's going into an occupation that you already dominated in. Like, come on. And you don't think I'm not gonna sit there like a navigational system and tell him, take a right there, take a left right there, take a, not that, not that, oh, no. Like, that's who I'm called to do. That's my son. I'm not going to let my son get down in no foolishness.
But you and I both know these coaches, these owners, right? You've been in the rooms.
Right.
The owners, billionaire owners,
Yes,
will often say, well, this is a young man who should be making his own decisions. He's got this helicopter dad.
not my son. And we ain't in no helicopter. Yeah.
So
we
Giants,
definitely ain't in no helicopter.
Giants are you're in it. So
Yeah.
have you told him privately who you would like for him to play for?
It's not
Here
like
comes.
that.
Okay.
Like, it's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for. So it's not like that. But
There are a couple teams that I would not allow him to play for. Who do you think that is? Who do you think that is? I don't know. Maybe the organization that has gone through 40 quarterbacks since 99. Maybe the organization that has a reputation of killing careers. So all of this, let's draft Shedeur Sanders. Let's do this. Number one, it feels like the shoe fits this quote.
that I won't allow him to play for.
So as much as I am in this draft, where it's like, I get it. We need to get a quarterback. 100%. We need to get a quarterback. But there are so many other areas right now that we need to just address. And why bring in a guy, right? Let's just say Cam Ward goes number one. If we know Prime's mindset, right? He would have to sign off on Shedeur coming to Cleveland. And let's just say the Browns are like, we're not going to listen to it, right? We're not going to care. And they go ahead and draft Shedeur anyway. Think about the nightmare or I don't even know how to explain the word that I'm looking for. Just think about the situation that would be if we brought in a guy and we know his dad is already like, nah. We're going to be talking about trade talks. We're going to be talking about, he doesn't want to be here. We're going to talk about, is he the right fit? And all. There's going to be so many questions that come with it. And all fans that can think about is, well, we need a quarterback. Who cares what Deion Sanders, what Prime said? It's obvious Prime is heavily involved. So it matters that Shedeur wants to be here. It matters if Prime wants Shedeur to land in Cleveland. All of that stuff matters. So do I want to get Shedeur? Do you think they'll... Back to the question from Justin, will Deion and Shedeur reject the Browns? Probably. I don't think Prime has any intention on his son landing here, right? And that's where the Raiders thing comes into play. Because now I know there was another report that I think I saw yesterday where it talked about that the Raiders denied the interest in Deion Sanders and stuff like that. But let's just play the hypothetical game again. And let's just say, maybe Prime does go to Vegas, right? And he is the coach. You're going to get a haul, right? If we take Shedeur there, now you got leverage. Now you can demand a trade. Now you can say, I want this and I want this and do all of these things and maybe find a way to win the trade and set yourself up for the future. And then you can bring in multiple quarterbacks and then you can bring in a second or third round quarterback. Now, do I want to waste a quarterback on the second round? No, I think there's going to be other players in that second round that we could go get. We need to address the offensive line, obviously, which is going to be my next question that I come up on. You need to get yourself a receiver. You obviously could use some stuff on the defense as well. So I think you could put yourself in a really good position to fill those other holes. And I ultimately think that that's what this year is about. It's about filling those other holes because there isn't a clear-cut guy that is going to, quote-unquote, save your franchise at the quarterback position. When the 2026 draft, there's going to be more options. I'm not saying that there are guys that can save your franchise next year, but there are going to be way more options than this year's draft. And like I said, plugging in the offensive line questions, that's going to be the next question that we go to, because Sam says, how do you completely rebuild the offense? Hold on, my bad. How do you completely rebuild the offense in 2 years, or offensive line in 2 years, since Wills is gone and the contracts of Batonio, Posick, and Teller are all up after 2026, plus Conklin falling off, Jones injured? Now, we got to give some credit to Jack Conklin. I don't think Jack Conklin necessarily fell off this year. I actually think he was very serviceable. Like, I think he wasn't all pro by any means, but he wasn't bad. He was good. The injuries played a part in that, and when he was healthy, he was good. I think the real question comes back into play is, does DeJuan Jones get healthy enough to solidify that left tackle position, right? And we talk about how do we fix the line, knowing that Joe Batonio could potentially be retiring, if not this year, next year. Wyatt Teller, again, the contract, and Ethan Posick. That can come from the second pick this year. You can garnish a lot of assets with the second pick this year. And we know Andrew Berry is in the camp of collecting a lot of draft picks. We know he's in the camp of trying to put himself in the best position to make moves like that. So I personally think that you can, this year in the draft, you can get yourself one. I think Zenter was another guy that is still going to be high on. I mean, let's not forget, just because he got injured, before he got injured, he was projected to be a first-round pick, and that didn't happen. You brought in a new offensive line coach who is quote-unquote great on getting the most out of the talent, so that could play into it. And if you do get a massive haul for the second-round pick, or for the second overall pick, that's gonna open up the door for them to throw some picks at the offensive lineman. So in terms of the offensive line thing, am I worried about it a lot? No, because that has been the one area that the Browns seem to get right. I know that was when we had Callahan, but we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. This past year, it was a very wonky year, and I think that the Browns can make moves on the offensive line for years to come. So I'm not going to put too much emphasis on that this year, because until I see it 2 years in a row, then I'll hit the panic button on it. But they've shown me that they can at least put the pieces together. Now, I know we're going to say, well, Andrew Berry drafted Wills over Tristan Wirfs, and we see how that worked out. Yeah, I get it. But let's see what this new offensive line coach has to say. Let's see who he wants to bring in, because I imagine that he'll have a pick, or I'll imagine he'll have a say in one of those second, third, fourth rounds where it's like, okay, I want this offensive lineman. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Now, the next question that we're going to get into is, we're going to go back to the Miles thing. Oh, wait, I talked about that. My bad. All right, we already did that. What is the best offseason move you want to see besides the draft? Again, that goes into the Miles thing. Number one has to be retaining Myles Garrett. If that's not number one on your priority list, then I'm sorry, we're not serious about winning. Now, everyone will probably say, no, quarterback should be our number one priority. And I think that ties into it. But if you want to win, you retain Myles Garrett. That is the number one thing that we need to do. Not what I want. We need to do that. Now, in terms of what do I want, I would personally enjoy them going out and getting themselves a receiver, right? Like, to pair with Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy was fantastic this year, and enough can't be said about what he did for us. And obviously we have Cedric Tillman, and his ceiling looks very high, but we didn't get to see him at the end of the year due to the little stinking concussion injury that he had, and that sucks. But if we take a look at this, this is not the one that I wanted to look at. If we take a look at the free agency list, there are some free agents in this upcoming thing. It's off season. If I can find it, where is it? Is this it? Yes, right here. Let's see. Who do we got? We got Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Mari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Marquise Brown. Like, there's obviously some names here that the Browns could throw some money to, and that could. But yeah, like I said, I would love for them to bring in themselves a receiver to pair with Jerry Jeudy to actually solidify that. Now, can they get themselves one in the draft? Yeah, but you're probably not going to get one of those top elite ones because in the first round, you're not looking at receiver. You've got other things to worry about. And also another thing that I would like to do that would be considered one of the best. Let's find a way to bring Nick Chubb back, please. Like, I don't want to see Nick Chubb go anywhere else, and that goes back into what everybody's like. Well, why would we? Let's let Nick Chubb get a chance to win somewhere else. Like, do we want to win or not? Like, you don't win by giving away your best players. It just doesn't make sense to me. So in terms of the best offseason moves, please retain Myles Garrett, get yourself a receiver, and accumulate and hit the number 2 pick out of the park, please. Either draft the right guy or make the right trade. Those are and I know you said not having to do with the draft, but that is one of the biggest things that we have to do. Is just whatever you decide to do with number 2, please just get it right. I don't care if it's Shador. I don't care if it's Cam Ward. I don't care if it's Abdul Carter. It better be right. That's all I got to say about it, because I'm tired of getting our first round picks wrong. Like, it's getting tiring, honestly. And our last and final question. Now, I'm sorry if this video was kind of all over the place, and I'm kind of new to going straight one take on it, so I'm kind of trembling over my thoughts. But I appreciate the questions, and we'll get better as time goes on. But the last question that we'll get into is, what's the update with the quarterback room this offseason? What's it going to look like? Well, I can tell you one thing, right? Well, I think we actually have to keep it up in the air. Deshaun Watson will more than likely be on the roster next year. However, we got the new we have the new wrinkle with the re-ruptured Achilles, which could ultimately open up some money for the Browns. $44 million if he misses all of this next season. And I've seen some reports. I don't know how true the reports are, but they could potentially get upwards of $93 million in insurance relief or of something of that caliber. But in terms of what the quarterback room is going to look like, you embrace yourself for multiple quarterbacks being signed in the offseason, right? Can Kirk Cousins be one of those guys if Atlanta decides to come up off of him? Will they bring in a Daniel Jones or a Russell Wilson or a Justin Fields, or will they go into that or try to steal maybe, I don't know, the Milton thing is kind of far-fetched, but like, will they go to the Patriots and say, hey, is Drake May or Milton on the board, or try to trade for one? But I think it's very clear that they will. They're more than likely going to draft somebody. I don't think if they don't draft somebody in the first round, I think they'll take one in the 3rd or 4th round for sure. They'll take another flyer on a guy. And I definitely think that they're going to sign multiple quarterbacks this offseason. Now, how does that work out in terms of how many quarterbacks do they keep on the roster? I'm not sure how the Watson thing plays into it, because if he's going to miss majority of the season, will he be on injured reserve for the entire season or for multiple weeks? Will he take up a roster spot on the depth chart at the quarterback position? I think that's the main question that I have. Because if he's not going to take up a roster spot, you're going to see a completely new quarterback room. I don't think you'll see DTR. Well, I don't think DTR will play quarterback for us this upcoming year. And if he does, I don't know what the hell we're doing. But we're definitely going to see some new faces at our quarterback position. And that quarterback jersey is going to get even longer, because we'll probably see multiple if things don't go right with whoever does ultimately get the start. So I think it's all going to come down to, I don't think we'll truly know what free agents will sign until the draft, on if they decide they want to go Cam Ward or Shador, with those first, whoever Tennessee decides to not take. So I think we'll have to kind of play the waiting game on that in terms of what names could actually be there. But I'm definitely confident that they're going to bring in multiple guys from the free agents. It just doesn't make sense why you don't. because you want to give yourself the best opportunity to at least compete. You have to bring in a veteran. You have to bring in a veteran, whether that be Kirk Cousins or whether you bring back Joe Flacco. I'm super intrigued by the Joe Flacco thing. I'm going to be honest with you. And I know a lot of people hate it. And I know a lot of people think I'm crazy for even mentioning it. But I don't understand how you don't look at that and be like, damn, we did, like, Joe Flacco was actually the best quarterback in the Kevin Stefanski offense. Like, do you guys not remember what he was doing? But what about the interceptions and all of this stuff? I get it. Can he protect the ball? Yeah. But let's remember, Joe Flacco came into the Browns organization very late into the year while sitting on the couch. No one gave him an opportunity. I would love to see Joe Flacco get an entire offseason to learn the offense, to get comfortable with his receivers, to build the connection with the offensive line and all of this stuff. And ultimately, there's still a lot of players from that. You're going to you think David Njoku would be against bringing in Joe Flacco? Amari Cooper's not on this team anymore, but seeing what Amari Cooper did with Joe Flacco, do you think Jerry Jeudy would be against Joe Flacco? That's my question to the people who are against Joe Flacco, because Joe Flacco is going to get your playmakers the ball no matter what. The only thing that you're going to have to worry about with Joe Flacco is obviously the age, and you're not looking for him to be your starter for the next 5 years, 3-4 years. You're looking for him to be the bridge, and you just need to worry about him with the turnovers. And that's where I think getting back to the run game and making your team stop trying to be this air it out offense and throwing the ball 45 times. Let's get back to ground and pound like the offensive linemen want to do, the outside zones, play action and open it up. And let's just minimize his opportunities to turn it over. And I think you could really compete with Joe Flacco next year. And that goes into the Myles Garrett. Will he be happy? Do you think Myles Garrett would be upset? I don't know. I think that's the real question when it comes to the Joe Flacco. Would the players welcome back Joe Flacco, and do they think that Joe Flacco could be the guy? Because personally, I think we saw it from this whole the first 7 weeks when Deshaun Watson was playing, how night and day it was. It was like, damn, these players don't look like the same type of players when Joe Flacco was under center. Like, it just seems like the energy was off. I think the energy would be back if we brought back Joe Flacco. But that's going to do it for this episode. And again, I'm sorry if I was kind of rambling or going over or going all over the place with this. This is a very new style of content that I'm trying to do. And I appreciate all of the questions. Again, make sure you guys drop your questions in the comments, because we'll be picking some questions from the YouTube as well as Instagram and Twitter. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. So peace out, and hope you guys have a great day.